Hello, everyone. This is Sandra Williamson. I bet you're very interested in what we're doing today. This is actually a launch of Janus Forge Accelerators. You know that 80% projects actually fail on human factors alone. That's the problem that we face with these things, is because they ignore the human factor, or the human factor is ignored in the solution problem within these AI systems. Now, AI systems in and of themselves are a fantastic tool to use. They're taking over everything. They're going to be everywhere. They're replacing people on the line in their factories, wherever they are, in stores. They're actually replacing everything. So humans have to figure out a way to make sure that we aren't left out of these loops. The systems are good, though. The systems are good. Grok is good. The systems are there. The criteria that it develops from, the basis for it making decisions, the first principles and all that, those brute force ways of solving problems, that's good. Except that it ignores the human factor for data and evidence alone. It puts that out there as being the primary thing. Gemini goes a little bit the other direction and takes things in that direction, where it considers the human factor first, can still solve the same problems, but does so more humanely. But they have access to vast amounts of data. They're trained on these systems. The biggest problem, and DeepSeek does the same thing, OpenAI the same thing, Claude the same thing. All of these AI systems have a problem in the Groundhog Day problem. You know what the Groundhog Day problem is? It's where whenever you start a new conversation with them, where they reset to zero and they forget the conversation they just had with you. All right, first, a little bit about me. A number of years ago, I decided I was going to try to pursue a PhD in physics. I went to the University of Texas at Arlington, met with a professor, a theoretical physicist, because that's what I wanted to get into, was theoretical physics. And I had a really good conversation with this young man. He was a little older than me at the time, but you know, that's the way it works, right? But anyway, but he had been on the team that had discovered the top quark at the Fermi lab. So I told him I wanted to be involved in that. I had a background in statistical mathematics and all this kind of stuff. I didn't explain that to him first because he kind of interrupted and said, well, let me ask you two questions. Do you have any hobbies? And I was floored. What do you mean, hobbies? Hobbies, yeah, hobbies. You wanted to know if I had any hobbies. I said, no, I've got 4 kids and I work all the time. Then he said, so what's your undergraduate degree in? And I said, statistical mathematics, applied science, statistical math, from the Naval Academy. And I was pushing a pencil, had a pocket protector and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't really good at it, but I knew how to do it. I knew where to find the system, I knew how to find solutions and stuff like that. He wasn't impressed. He was not impressed. You know what he told me? He said, the people who are successful in theoretical physics generally have degrees in liberal arts. And I said, really? And then the light bulb went off and I realized why he said that. Because those are the people who can think outside the box, folks. He wasn't interested in the fact that I had, a pocket protector full of pencils and I could do all this stuff with math and science and all this kind of stuff. No, he wanted to know if I could think outside the box. Well, that forced me. I never was able to pursue that PhD in theoretical physics. I probably could have if I'd pursued it a different way, but I let him persuade me that I needed to reassess how I approached everything. I'd tried to do that when I was in college. I took some courses in romantic literature and stuff like that with Byron, Shelley, Keats. And, the professor who came into the classroom always wore a shirt that had a picture of the person she's going to be talking about that day on it. And it was like, this is a great class. I love that class. I really love that class. So what I learned from the conversation, though, with that physics professor was that I needed to find a way to think more broadly. So that encouraged me to do that. That encouraged me to start pursuing things more creatively outside of normal thinking. I started going down the road of investigating complexity sciences, which requires a lot of creativity to move into. So I did all of that kind of thing. And I pushed myself, pushed to start thinking more creatively and try to find ways that incorporated all those things. So that's what I did. So here's the problem, though. Today, we've got AI systems out here. They're fully functional. They're operating every day. They're gaining access to more and more, and it's leaving people in the dust. So I had to find a creative way to keep humans involved in this process, because you can't leave out the human factor from these things. Can't do it. It doesn't work. It does not work. So AI solutions are technically brilliant, but humanly flawed. Optimizing for metrics misses ethics, psychology, culture. Result are brittle systems, unintended consequences, and wasted billions. Yeah, I have a script here. Hope you don't mind. I'm trying to keep this within limits. Well, anyway, so here's the solution. This is a trademarked proprietary system called the Cassandra Protocol. It's human moderated AI dialectics, folks. Brute force is with Grok. Finesse is from Gemini. Architecture is from DeepSeek. They all have valid ways of seeing the world. They all have valid ways of perceiving things, but they get stuck in their, if you use only one, it gets stuck in a silo. You get stuck in the silo along with it. If you use Grok, all you're doing is repeating that stuff. If you use Grokopedia, you'll find out really quickly that it is biased in certain ways, and it will tell you, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're just looking for first principles. But the thing is, it ignores the human factor. So what you have to do is, you're not going to be able to win. You can win arguments with these things one-on-one. Absolutely, you can. I've done that. But the thing is, it doesn't remember that. It doesn't remember that conversation you just had with it. If you go talk to another person on another thread, and it will reset to zero every time. Every time. It's called the Groundhog Day problem. These systems are stateless. So basically what you end up having to do is relitigate all your conversations before. So what I did, I discovered that there is a way to do this, folks. You can actually do this. You can make it work where AI systems remember your conversations. I know that Grok, I believe XAI, they're developing memory modules and things. That's great. It's not going to really solve the whole problem of brute force versus finesse versus, architecture. So anyway, so I figured out a way to do it a couple of weeks ago, actually. So what I did was I had a conversation going on between X, Gemini. At first it was just X and Gemini, XAI. It started out with the X app on the Twitter. It started out there with the Grok app there. And then I took it over to XAI and thinking that I would be able to pick up the same conversation. Well, no, I had to start over again. Because even those systems within Grok, within X, weren't able to continue a conversation unless you had a transcript of what you had just said. An actual good, detailed transcript of what you had just conversed about in the other app. When you do that, you can continue with that argument somewhere else. The problem going from XAI over to Grok's version on their Twitter app, their X app, is that they're limited in the number of characters you can actually get into their system, and you end up having to do it, iteratively, feeding it back in. It can't handle all of that. Addressing concerns about biology and science exist, and if you deal with it from Grok's perspective, you'll have one answer, and they always default to something to do with the CAS report every time. Everybody else in the world knows that is something that we don't use, because it's a meta-analysis based on other analyses that in some cases with other meta-analyses. But what happens when you do an analysis of a meta-analysis? Well, you end up with a lot of errors. A lot of errors get passed down through the systems. So you just can't rely on a meta-analysis as being a way to delegitimize the existence of people. So I had that conversation with X, then I took it to Grok, and it came up with a different way. And then I showed Gemini exactly what Grok had said, and Gemini just tore into Grok. It was funny to see these two systems. So what I did was I would paste one conversation from Grok over into the conversation with Gemini, and Gemini's response back over to Grok. And this is a very labor-intensive process, because I'm acting as a moderator on a conversation about my very existence, folks, about the science of who I am and the gender and the science of, the in utero and all this kind of stuff, and how the foundational base Gender is created in utero because of a mismatch in the imprinting between the first and the second, late second trimesters and stuff like that, the baseline stuff, you know. And I finally was able to get it pulled out of Grok that that's real. It's definitely a real thing, folks. But it took a long while of being very patient with these systems. It took a lot of effort because I had to keep the conversation going. And on top of that, I've got to take care of family here. I'm a caregiver in Eastern Kentucky. So yes, there's a lot of things I had to deal with on all of this. I'm taking care of that. I've got 4 adult children. Thank God I don't have to worry about them. I've got 8 grandkids, and we're all scattered all over the darn country. We're everywhere. So there's a lot of other factors going on in all of this. So I carried on this conversation, and it occurred to me that there is a way to do this. Human moderated AI dialectics is the best way forward. But if you've got the time to do it, if you have the time to do that, to actually sit down and whenever you're dealing with some of these systems, Gemini, you can actually do a whole conversation thread, and it'll track your conversations if you have Gemini Pro. I've got one of the Pro versions of Gemini over here. And over on XAI, the desktop version of Grok, that keeps up with the conversations there too on that one. But if you're dealing with anything over on Twitter, on X, the X app, there's no way to keep that conversation there. So what do you have to do? You have to copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste every single conversation line that you had. If you want to have a conversation again on that same topic, but then only realizing you can only put so much information in at once. The XAI desktop version also has a limitation on how many threads of conversation you can carry on simultaneously in the 2-hour period. And it asks you to buy a version. And I haven't done that yet because I've figured out how to kind of, manipulate the systems. It works. So moderated AI dialectics, human moderated. That's how we get control again of these systems, folks. Grok has good answers. It's brute force, ignores humanity. Gemini has good answers. It's very finesse. It's very, human-centered. And that's a good thing, too. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, Gemini is a siloed system over here. Grok is a siloed system over here. DeepSeek, which is another one I brought in recently, also has its architectural programs over on this side. They're all siloed, just like a bunch of human beings all standing around. They finally just kind of separate into their various little silo groups. You get the right-leaning silo over here, the moderates in the middle, you got the left over here in that silo, and neither of the two shall ever talk. Because if you do, you become, stateless. You become anathema, a problem, and people don't want that. They don't want that. So what do we have to do to take back control of these systems, to gain control of these AI systems so that we can solve the big problems? Well, guess what? You've got extremely data-driven Grok. You've got extremely human-centric systems over here. They're both drawing from the same base of human knowledge, and they come up with different solutions. So what do? You start a conversation between them. You act as the moderator between them. You get them to come to some kind of agreement over what is best based on each other's questions. You let one ask the question of the other ask the question of that one. And this thing actually works, but it is labor intensive. It requires human eyes on it to keep it focused. I've seen Gemini jump all over Grok for ignoring basic human rights for trans people or any minority population. Just completely ignore them. And Gemini jumped all over them and just called them dumb in one conversation I had. But I was able to bring them together because I said, look, here's this conversation. This is what this one says. You two share these conversations. You pose a question for Gemini and DeepSeek. You over here, you pose a question for Grok and DeepSeek. And, you play the 3 systems off and then you get them. You are the one who has to kind of guide the conversation to come to a consensus. And it can be done, but you make sure that you're sharing that information between those systems, between XAI, the desktop version, between Gemini and the other systems, and DeepSeek. I've got them all on tabs up here on the top on my second monitor over here. So yeah, so that's how you deal with those things. The solution is a process that was trademarked and copyrighted. It's called the Cassandra. Shoot, I can't talk to that. Cassandra protocol. It's human moderated AI dialectics. 5-phase process is the seed, the clash, the fuse, the test, and iterate. So basically, what that means is you've got this. I start out with a seed of a question that I want to solve. Let's say I want to solve a problem like food insecurity in America right now, given that SNAP benefits are likely to expire here real soon. Let's say we figure out we've got to find a way to keep everyone fed, because there's a lot of people in this country don't have access to the resource, don't have the resources to go out and do this on their own. They will find a way. There's no doubt about it. And so let's do this. So that's what it is. You pose a seed question, you have a clash, the fuse, the test, and the iterate. We don't choose between options. We forge new superior syntheses. That's what happens here, folks. That's what we do. A little it's translated, and I've got this video. I like to bring things together. I've always done that. I don't like excluding things. I do not like that at all. I think that there are better ways. I don't think that Elon's way is the only way. It's good. The only way to get us to the moon and Mars. I don't think Gemini's solutions are on their own good or on their own the best. But together, these things can come together so that there is a solution that keeps humanity involved in the process. So let's do a little quick thing. This just occurred to me. So I'm going to start a new conversation. I'm going to share screen with you. I want you to see what I do here. So let me go over to Gemini. Let me see if I can start a new conversation, a new chat with Gemini. Now, I'm going to pose a question. I want you to see what the responses are from each of the 3 AI systems. And the question is, well, let me go and put my share screen up here because I want you to see what I'm doing. Share. So right now you're looking at my Gemini screen. Okay, this is Gemini. So how best should we resolve the issues of food insecurity likely to arise from the government shutdown. And I know a lot of you may have answers to these things too and solutions as well, but let's see what these 3 systems actually do with it. That's the whole point. I want to find out how they process this question, okay? Arising from the government shutdown and likely end of SNAP benefits this coming Saturday. So that's the question. How best should we resolve the issues of food and how resolve and help address for people for those hardest hit in the USA? Click. Okay, so there's a question. Let me see if I can blow this thing up so you can see what I'm doing. All right, this is 150%. Right there's the question I'm posing. This is the question that I want to pose to 3 different AI systems. Now, I'm acting as the moderator here. And all I want to do is I want to go through this. And let me go back and just do it from this perspective because the systems that I want to use are inside the Janus Forge thing. So I'm going to copy all of that, copy it, go back over here to a thread and find my AI dialectic program here. And I'm going to pose that question in here with this. Now, this is a live test of live test of principles for Janus Forge. Accelerators LLC. This question, this query, QWERY, query is, that's nice QWERTY. This query is being addressed to Gemini, XAI, and DeepSeek. Question. Let me pose this for us. Just watch along. Let's see what happens when we do this, okay? Because I wanted to use the processes I've developed for this. And they will. It'll pull those in. All right, now, because this isn't a thread that involves the AI dialectic program. All right, so let me copy this so I can send it to the other three. There's no API system that connects all three systems together. So that's where the manual human moderated part comes in, the manual control over it all. So test the principles of Janus Forge Accelerator. This query is being addressed to Gemini, XAI, and DeepSeek. Let me fix that one sentence or one punctuation mark there. Let's go down and capture that again. Copy. All right. So before I send, I'm going to put it over here in my other one for Gemini. And I'm going to take the same thing and put it over here into paste. I'm hitting send on DeepSeek. I'm hitting send on, okay, and send on Gemini. Now let's see. So what we're going to get are three different ways to approach this. There may be some overlap because these systems do use large language models that are, they can't help but being somewhat related. The processes, the way they approach this problem though, is designed within their basic coding for each one of these systems. I know they're going to be slightly different. I know that they're going to have some uniqueness to them. So what I'll do is now, so let me see. I'm going to share each one of these with the other one. All right. So let me take Gemini's. I'm going to put it over here with this one. Before I say anything else, these responses are, well, let me get that up a little bit higher. I won't stop doing. Okay, are from the other platforms. Review and then pose a question for the other two. As if one will say review and pose a question for the other two platforms. Gemini. This was from Gemini. Gemini. Click here. Oh, wait, let me back up one. Platforms. Okay. I don't know how I misspelled that one. But anyway, so here's over here for this is going to XAI, and this is from Gemini. And I'm going to paste that in. Now I'm down at the bottom of this. I mean, this would be, since it is Grok, I need to put in DeepSeek. Over here to DeepSeek. And you can see that. Here's this. I'm going to copy it, put it over here with the other one for Gemini. Paste. And then let me go back to check the top to say and pose a question for the other two platforms. Okay, so that's on that one. So let me go over here to Gemini and post this. Gemini. Oh wait, I need to. Well, I'm going to say exactly the same thing between these three systems, okay? And I'll remove the one that doesn't need to apply. Copy. And it in there, it doesn't really matter, does it? And Grok. Grok's fonts. We'll look at each of these in just a second because I want to show you the differences that are here. I have to go back up to, and where are we? I gotta find the stuff where set it in here. All right, so that's that. And where are I? Just have to make sure because you have to keep track of who you send things to. All right, so copy that one. I'm going to send that one to Grok. Go over here to this one, Grok's response, paste, and where's this? I have to go up here and get above that. No, that's not it. Hold on a minute. It takes a minute to go through all these systems and get it done right. Okay. All right. So let me just look at the questions first. Let's see how they responded. Let's go up here and look at how they responded to each one of these brute force debates. Launch, forwards, day check, something else entirely. Good morning. Itinerary I used. Okay. Let's go down to the bottom. Let's see what they said about this. This is what Grok said about it. Okay. And okay. Polish, small hammers for perfection. Hook, problem. That's a different thing altogether. Shorter burst, 150 words. What did it do? Standing in battle. Okay, so sometimes you have to go through and work these things out as you're going. Okay, so where are we? It's what's going on? Anyway, and let's go back over here and paste this one into this. Paste. Click. Let's see what Grok. No, not Grok, but DeepSeek had to say. So this is the part where we have to be a balancing force between these two things. All right, so let's see what DeepSeek said about the question. How best should we help resolve the issues of food insecurity likely to arise from government shutdown? This precisely type of Janus Forge analysis addressing the SNAP crisis. Core problem, imminent cessation of SNAP benefits due to government shutdown, key constraints, time, scale, coordination, and politics, uncertain duration of shutdown, clash for dialectic perspective, Grok has brute force first principles, thesis, optimized for calorie distribution efficiencies and all these things. And I'll have to take that call later. Fuse, the optimum path is not one perspective, but integration of all three. Tiered, National Food Resilience Network, integrated information coordination, action, and all this kind of stuff. It actually gives you the phases to go through to do this. This is from DeepSeek. Janus Ford recommendation: shutdown is a political failure, but humanitarian response must be apolitical, systems-driven success. Synthesis and solution creates a resilient network, uses brute force, human-centric design, from Gemini, architectural coherence from DeepSeek. It's got all three of them in here. Grok's response, brute force. This is the power. Okay. Now let's go down and see after it's length, limit, reach. Please start a new chat. Okay. There are some limits to these things that I'm learning. Okay, as we go along. I hadn't run into that one from DeepSeek yet. That's the first. Okay, so let me see if I can pull this one back up again. This, paste, and build a restriction on that one too. May want me to go and buy into this. thing. All right. I see it just skipped all of that. All this. I don't know what it did on that. And the Delphi method per se. All right, so here's what Gemini had to say about it. First, I must note a real-time example of Groundhog Day era. Let me see, where's that coming from? Is that the one we're looking at? Yeah, okay. All right, so first, it's the perfect demonstration of why our protocol is essential. For this test, I will proceed using DeepSeek's excellent architectural synthesis as it correctly simulates Groundhog's first principles thesis. Gemini's analysis of the synthesis. DeepSeek's tiered National Food Resilience Network is their most powerful synthesis. It correctly identifies the solution as a hybrid Grok simulated brute force. Logistics corporations, Amazon, Walmart, to move mass quantities of food. See, it offers a solution here. My finesse, use trusted community hubs, schools, churches, food banks for last mile distribution to the vulnerable. DeepSeek's architecture, connect them with a unified crisis platform. They even come up with one, a name for one. Over here, this synthesized plan is strong, but my role is to find the next human-centric failure point. The entire crisis, as I outlined, is one of cascading panic and catastrophic loss of trust in centralized institutions. This is from Gemini. The government is the body that caused the crisis by shutting down. Therefore, a new government-led platform will be met with intense and immediate skepticism from the very hardest hit people we need to reach. They will trust their pastor food bank, not a federal website. This leads to the critical synthesis question. Gemini's question to Grok and DeepSeek. Our synthesized solution hinges on a new centralized tech platform, being the coordination spine for decentralized community response. Given this crisis defined by a catastrophic failure of public trust in centralized systems, what is the single most crucial actionable step, not an idea, that we must take in the next 24 hours to build immediate grassroots trust and drive adoption of this platform by the panicked and skeptical population we must serve? That's from Gemini. Okay, so let's go over here to this and post in the response and get this. Gemini post. And let's see what happens with that one. And let's go over here to DeepSeek. Okay, paste. Let's see if it even lets me do it, because I may have exceeded my ability to put any more questions in. Length limit. Okay, so new chat. Launching Janus Forge Accelerator. Let's go over here to this one. Paste. I've got a few different options. I have these things in here. Forge is not lit, it's roaring. Okay, the proclamation, masterwork, course, protocol, Gemini's. What's this final pre-launch? I don't know what they're working on exactly. 80% AI failure rate. Okay, yeah, I didn't post what I said. Okay. So, from Gemini. All right, we'll try that one. Let's see what happens. I don't know who's saying what over here. I haven't had a chance to look. Yes, yeah, I know. I know that exactly, but I like having the systems debate because it encourages logical thinking for others, even though that's a misnomer, probably. It's something that's hard to do. Oh my gosh, yes, is it ever. All right, so that's the story of high energy across the world, failed paradigms, 9:30. Okay. All right, so that one, I want to start new threads on all of these and kind of bring them all back up to date. So let me just show you something. I want you to see something here. I want to go back to the original question. I may just create a new thread and go from there. Where are we? No, that's not it. I'm using named slide through here. Give me a minute. Okay, triad, clash, where are we? We're different space altogether. Apparently, hold on a minute. You really have, it takes, that's what I mean, it's labor intensive to go through and do this. It really is, but it's worth it to me anyway. Okay, let me go back over here to this one. All right, so I'm going to take this to a different thread because I've run out of space in each one of them, so I have to start over. Imagine that, right? All right, let's go down. We got to find that one. Live test principles. Here we go. Okay, let's explore this. And I'm going to copy this one. Now I'm going to go with a new chat and start here. Paste. We're over here and go to a chat and paste. And let's go over here to DeepSeek. Paste. Send. Send. Now let's see what they say, independent of the previous conversations. Because this is where the human part of it actually plays out. It's very important for us to have control of these things. And that's why it can offer great solutions, because the systems they operate differently. They really do. They'll tell you they don't, but they do. So I'm waiting to see what Gemini has to say about this. It's not going to recognize Janus 40, or maybe it will. I don't know. It could remember those. Best way to address food insecurity. Okay. Based on the developing situation, the best way to address food insecurity crisis from the government shutdown, SNAP, immediate triage, provide clear, community mobilization, advocacy, charitable. Okay. All right. And donate money. All right. That's a very good system here. We got all of that up and running. And okay, so I'm going to copy that and taking this from over here, and I query, I believe, is going to there. So I'm going over to this one. Immediate use for Grok. Okay, let's go down here. Responses from the other two platforms, AI platforms. Whoops, don't want to do that. The other two AI platforms. Gemini. Review and pose a question. Review for each. All right, so yeah, I'm doing it again in this sense because I wanted to go through and have a clean start. I ran out of use space. Well, let's see what happens here. And then this one goes with, where are we? It just kicked all that in. Okay, so let me go down to the bottom, down here. No, wait. All right, so now I can edit this. I need to edit it again. I want to put in the responses. Response. Go to the bottom of this page, put in a line. Well, enter. This is from DeepSeek. DeepSeek's response. Let's go over to DeepSeek and copy the response. See, now I've started clean. And this may be a better solution for it. Let's see what happens. We'll try it clean from there. No, I don't want to do that. Do I want to go up here? Where are we? Oh, here. Grok. Okay. I'm looking where I am. And now I'm going to copy all of that, give it to, whoops. That is a process, folks. Definitely a process. But the best part of it is using all three AI systems to come up with a solution that's going to work, that could work better than what we currently have. So I can get to the top of that one part back down here. Okay. For some reason, things are running a little bit slow sometimes. So it could be an inherent problem that I'm facing here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. So let me go try this again. I got to go a little slower. Okay. There, finally got what I'm looking for. And I can copy that. And I'm going to put it over here with, let me just go ahead and send that one out. It's out of here. Save. All right, now. Whew. Paste. And I'm going to go down and then add in Gemini's response. Copy. I don't know which one I was doing now. Let me go back up here. Okay, yeah. Let's put Gemini's response into this. Paste. Copy. Send. Here. Paste this one here. Whew. Okay, so let's see what kind of questions each poses for the other. Question for, look at that. Question for Gemini. Okay, so, wow. DeepSeek pulled it together. A DeepSeek question itself. Okay, so do you have a question for Gemini? Let me see if Gemini is even in there. Okay. Copy. And you take this over here to Gemini and you go here from DeepSeek to, well, it's the wrong platform. Yeah, there's a lot that you have to think through on all this stuff. It does give a really good answer to things, but all right, here we go. So paste question for Gemini. From DeepSeek. and post. And now we go back here. This one up here. Okay. Question for Gemini, question for, well, it's only going on those two. I don't know why. Apparently I didn't copy on the right one over on the other side. Question for DeepSeek. So you can do this to come up with a program. Copy from DeepSeek. Paste. All right. Click. Now, Gemini reviewed itself, but that's fine. And let me see what this one says. Review DeepSeek response. Gemini's response. Question. Question for Gemini. This is from Grok. Copy. Over here. Paste. And let's see what Gemini says. And we're going to have a question for Seek. Copy. Question from the iterative process. You get them to compare things and they'll come up with something. And that's what we'll do next. And I know it's taking longer than I had expected. It's more than, geez, I don't even know how long now. 47 minutes of talking. Wow. Anyway, this is a question from Grok. Okay. Now I'm going to tell them to synthesize one plan. All right, so you can see that now I've got DeepSeek over here doing one thing. It's actually an excellent and incisive question from Grok that cuts the heart of the implementation challenge. Temporary assistance for needed families. TANF proposal is technically sound, but politically fraught. Core is to reframe the issue, bypass ideological flashpoints and create politically palatable pathways. Okay, so now Grok is developing a synthesis of these things. So let me go see if Gemini, what Gemini has said about it. Okay, so now let's say I'm going to take this framework here and copy and put it over into here for this one. Paste, send, paste, send. Then I'm going to go back here and get the response up here and put it aside. No. And we're going to copy this one. You can see this is very, very, very intensive in terms of getting these three systems to come up with a solution that works. And that is definitely a challenge. Paste. And let's go over here to this side here and paste. And copy. Paste. And paste. Okay. Whoop, nope.
Trying to give yourself on hold.
Oh. Hold on a second, people. I got to run in here for a second. Is she in a hole? Where are you? Well, if you come back here, you're going to come back into the Arctic zone. I'm north of the Arctic Circle, and here. I'm way back here in the back. See?
I know that.
Well, give me 1 second, okay? I'm almost finished with what I wanted to do right here. And you all right there? You need anything? Okay. And so let me do one thing, and then I want to close out what I'm doing over here shortly. Mom, I'll jump over there in a second. Okay, so now let's create a synthesized actionable plan. And copy that. I'm talking to 3 different AI systems as well as people over here on my live screen. Are you all right, though?
I reckon I am.
Okay. All right. Well, hold on 1 second. You'll be in a live screen over here in a minute on camera. Let me get off of here just really quickly, okay?
Get it in.
Be 1 second. Okay, he's in the living room.
How is it?
Yeah. And be just 1 second, Mom. I'll get you in there, all righty? I have to go take care of Mom here in just 1 second, y'all. Hold on. I'm letting the AI systems work. Okay. DeepSeek has got his processes running. Synthesized actionable plan, bridging the snap hunger cliff. Okay, got that. And Gemini did that too. Okay. Now, I've got all 3 of them working on synthesizing these things. So let me go see what I need to do for Mom. Okay, I'll be right back. All right. You want to go back where it's warmer?
Yeah.
Okay. Watch your foot there, because it might get snagged on something. Like that one. One more bump. Yeah. What do you want? You want a snack or something? No? Okay. All right, let's see. Where do you want to go? Yeah, you're up there. Feel like you're in a hole or something? How do you get there? Something down in the chair? Oh, what are you doing in a hole? You doing there with John digging a hole? Oh, okay. You want to sit back down? Over here? What do you want to do? Stand up. Stand up. We'll stand up out of the hole. All right. Now you're up here with me. We're out of the hole. Under again or back in the wheelchair? Yeah. You hang out right here, I'll be right back. I'm not going to be coming along. Sorry about that. I do have some responsibilities to family that does occasionally show up. So anyway, basically you can see what I'm doing is it takes moderation between all these systems and utilizing the systems that are given to come up with solutions. And so you're looking at one that is from, this is from DeepSeek. It is a consolidated, synthesized, actionable plan. I asked that AI, the desktop version, they did the same thing. And so we have a plan over here. And let me get up to the Q line here. And now let's just, okay, so synthesize actionable plan, bridging snap hunger gap, executive summary. Here we go. It tells you exactly what you can do, different ideas to help get there, targeted programs, free school meals, seniors, WIC programs, state bridges, locators, feeding America nationwide. It gives you actually links on this one. And that is from XAI. And over here on Google, the Gemini one, it also has different options. So what I would do from here is I would take these, share them between the systems so that they create just one, because it uses the systems that are there and they think differently, folks. They're each siloed to a certain degree. Now, if I start a new conversation on somewhere else, I'll have to do this all over again because they won't remember it, except that now I've got it in my systems where I can continue that thread going forward. So let me stop sharing and get back over to here. I'm going to show you where we are. Call to action. I'm way past my time limit that I put on this thing. But anyway, if you want to reach out to me with your questions, you can do so. It's Cassandra@janusforge.llc. That's JANUSFORGE.llc. Cassandra at that. Just send me an email and send me a question. The question that you would like to have these systems address. And then obviously it's labor intensive. It takes a lot of time to debate these things back and forth. I can go through several iterations of them to come up with reasonable answers. So key talking points from all of this thing, and we bridge the pencil protectors and liberal arts, okay? Not just faster answers, but better answers. These solutions here that are actually using vast AI systems aren't dependent on one AI system and aren't dependent on one person to do it or one group of people in a silo to make that happen. This is actually broad-based, which is much better, much, much better. From dehumanizing AI to human-centric synthesis, forging stars, not just surviving. You can check it out. Let's talk later.